Om Shri Sai Ram. Before I begin the next session, I think, don't you agree the singing and the dance was just out of the world? It's fascinating, very well done. And Swami was an appreciator of talent, and every form of this talent, he would receive it in all his glory, just as he did today. And Swami loved every form of art, Indian art, every form of any culture. And as the years went by, he invited people from all over the culture, all across the world, to offer him whatever they had to offer. And it was fascinating to watch him become one with these people. So, and the songs rendered were so beautiful, so wonderful. So thank you so much for that wonderful, I shouldn't say the word entertainment, but the satsang that you created by just singing beautiful songs. That is the beauty of tradition like singing, especially the Indian classical is dated hundreds of centuries ago, and the ragas, or the choice of tunes, was not intellectually designed. Nobody sat with a pen and paper and did some mathematics and came. It was intuitively brought out. It was meant for different times of the day. Certain combination of certain notes were meant to evoke certain moods. It's fascinating how just a combination of sounds can affect your mind and your heart. And truly, those composers and those musicians of the past and those people used music as a tool to evolve spiritually. And there was a perfect balance, and as is today in any good music across any culture, the perfect music is when there is a balance between the bhava, the raga and the tala. The raga is the tone, the music, the tala is the rhythm, and the bhava is the feeling. When there is feeling, when there is rhythm, and when there is melody, all in harmony, you have perfect music. It doesn't matter, you don't have to give it a title, but it's perfect music. And Baba said, Bhava, Raga and Tala, the Ba, Ra, Tha is the essence of Bharata, which is India. It's called India because India's name was Bharata, Bharatha. And he said the essence of Bharata was Bhava, Raga and Tala. The entire, it was generations of music. It was purely through music and through chants and through sounds that we learned to evolve to a very high state of consciousness. So listening to music in whatever form is always welcome. The dancer has come. Do you want to finish the dance? This poor thing, she'll be sitting like that throughout. She's come ready. Shall we do that? Yes. Come.
Saram. This performance will be performed by Roshni Shanmugam. So, Selvam Parthikku. Let's go to Parthi to see the Lord of Love and Peace, whose name attracts us like the magnet attracts iron. We need a million eyes to see his divine form. Let us go to see the Lord, the incarnation of Kali age, and the Lord who transcended all caste, creed, and color. Your presence alone will liberate us, my Lord. Roshni Shanmugam will be performing. This was also performed by Srimati Haraja Sivakumar, a guru. And Roshni, incidentally, will be having her Arangetam this year, August. செல்வோம் பரத்திக்கு, நாமும் செல்வோம் பரத்திக்கு. அமைதியே உருவான அன்பு தெய்வத்தை காண செல்வோம் பரத்திக்கு. அமைதியே உருவான அன்பு தெய்வத்தை காண செல்வோம் பரத்திக்கு. சாந்தமித்தவழும் எங்கள் அன்பு தெய்வம், காந்தம் போலிருக்கும் அவன் திருநாமம். சாந்தமித்தவழும் எங்கள் அன்பு தெய்வம், காந்தம் போலிருக்கும் அவன் திருநாமம். காணக்கண் கோடி வேண்டும் பிரேமாதாரணி, காணக்கண் கோடி வேண்டும் பிரேமாதாரணி. நடமாடும் கலியுக தெய்வத்தை காண செல்வோம் பரத்திக்கு. நடமாடும் கலியுக தெய்வத்தை காண செல்வோம் பரத்திக்கு. ஜாதி மத பேதமில்லா எங்கள் அன்பு தெய்வம், சமரசமென்பது உந்தன் எண்ணம். ஜாதி மத பேதமில்லா எங்கள் அன்பு தெய்வம், சமரசமென்பது உந்தன் எண்ணம். உன் சன்னிதானம் வந்தால் மோட்சமே திண்ணம். உன் சன்னிதானம் வந்தால் மோட்சமே திண்ணம். உன் சன்னிதானம் வந்தால் மோட்சமே திண்ணம். கூடிய பாடுவோம் ஐயனை காண. சாய் ராமா சத்ய சாய் ராமா, சாய் ராமா சத்ய சாய் ராமா என்று கூடியே பாடுவோம் ஐயனை காண செல்வோம் பரத்திக்கு. அமைதியே உருவான அன்பு தெய்வத்தை காண செல்வோம்
My journey began many years ago to Sai Baba. When I was 16 or 17, I had spent my entire childhood in a traditional Hindu family. My father, as I said, was not only was he a traditional dad, but he was very orthodox Hindu. He believed in all the rituals, all the pujas in the house, and so did my mother. And as I was as young as some of these kids, I remember going to Haridas's, Kirtanams and Pitakuli Murugadas's bhajans in Bombay, and Vadiyar's storytelling sessions. And I would fall asleep on my mother's lap, but all this thing registered deep in my subconscious mind. And that's why many of these songs ring a far deep bell in me. And something awakens me when I listen to songs of any kind, bhajans of any kind, namasmarana of any kind. And I think as parents, you're doing wonderful, you're giving a great gift to your children of just bringing them to these kind of functions and just allowing them. And you may think they're looking here and there and they're not paying attention, but somewhere it's all getting registered inside. And it's fascinating how these will be the foundation that will guide them and guard them and give them that equanimity that so badly some of us search for in the midst of turmoil and when life throws you around. These are the moments that will guide and guard your children. So it's wonderful that you bring them along. And as Swami often says, the most formative years of a child are when they are young. And he also quotes the scriptures, and we know right from the time a baby is in the womb, it's ready to absorb the vibrations. And if you can feel the vibrations of the child from the womb, or as the child is just growing, the brain is like a sponge. It absorbs everything. I talk like I'm a parent, I'm not. But I love the idea, but I was a child and I had parents. So I love the idea when people bring the parents, when they bring the kids to these kind of satsangs, never undermine their intelligence saying they won't understand what it is, let them go play or have a pizza somewhere and I'll go for the satsang. Bring them along. Give them the pizza later, but bring them along, because even if they decide to sleep on your lap, there is something deep that happens. When we invoke spiritual energy, when we awaken our consciousness, we awaken everybody and everything around us. And if a child is part of that auric experience, it does a deep impact. And that is how we will contribute to the next generation. And that is the least we can do as parents, just as my parents did for me. And I always love that. And so when I grew up in that tradition of listening to this, I sometimes slept in the lap of these saints, because they would come to our house and my father would love to have them at our place. And when they sleep, they will come and they'll continue the satsang late into the night, just like we do with Sai satsang. And I would sometimes sleep on the laps of these saints. But as I grew into teenage, I started getting a little wary of all these rituals. It never ended. It was one puja after the other, one ritual after the other. It was either the full moon or the new moon or the Ekadasi, and even in 15 days we had all this kind of pujas. And then there were of course the big pujas that came in. So it was like never ending. Mom, when do I really get to play? Every time sit quiet, 3 hours, 4 hours bhajans. So anyway, but as it kept going, I started asking questions as to why do we have these gods? Why is this? Why is that? And nobody really answered my questions. I was not told it's not good to ask questions. And by the time I was 15 or 16, I was up to neck with Hinduism and rituals and gods. I said, this is it. I don't think there's all these gods exist truly. And I was planning to go and join the Pune Institute, Film Institute in Pune. I had no illusions about myself. I didn't want to be a hero. Knowing my height and looks, I said a comedian is good. I was happy to be a comedian. But I seriously thought that is where I want to be. And my father was terrified of the thought. He thought I was the black sheep in the family. I had become the black sheep by then, because I was very asking all the questions I'm not supposed to ask. And it so happened that I even remember the breaking point for me was my thread ceremony. You know, the Hindus have a ceremony about where they wear the sacred thread, and most of you are aware of this. And it's done at an age when you're young, but then I think I was 13 or 14 by the time my sacred thread was performed in Bombay. And I started asking questions, why me? Why not my friends? Many of my friends in school, I was going to a Catholic school. So I said, many of my friends don't do it. And we don't have anybody else talking in school about it. Why do I have to wear? And they said, keep quiet. This is what we did. Look at father's shoulder. He's got a thick white thread around his body. So you're also going to wear it. But somebody told me that this will help you to get enlightened. Now the word enlightened has always interested me from a young age. So I said, okay, so maybe that will help me to get answers. Yeah, you'll get all the answers. You learn that mantra, you'll get all the answers. I said, okay, good. Maybe something might work out. The reason I say it's breaking point is because the function came and I was supposed to be initiated into the Gayatri mantra. By then I had heard about it. They said it's a powerful mantra, where memory power will improve. Somehow that parents always say, go do Gayatri, your memory power will improve, you get better marks. And the best I ever got was a B grade. So I said, okay, this might help me. So by the time that function actually started, I was interested in getting this mantra. I said, maybe this will help me in every way possible. So I was looking forward to it. And the ceremony started and all the chants was going on. I was sitting there as part of it. And somehow the chants do something to you. Like I was talking about it yesterday as to how the way it is chanted, even if you're there in the presence of these chants, your brain gets entrained and gets into a trance-like state, in a state of receiving rather than a state of resisting. So I was in a very receptive mode. I said, this is not bad at all. And being a center of attraction, imagine. So that's not bad. It was not a bad deal at all at the end of the day. But what happened was finally the time came for initiation of the mantra. So traditionally this mantra is given in secrets. There is a secrecy around this mantra because it's such a pious and such a powerful mantra. It's supposed to be whispered. You cannot announce it. Somebody did. Somebody broke all traditions. He picked up the mic and announced to the whole world over the mic, initiated hundreds and thousands of people. Only one person can do that, and that was Swami. Absolutely. He broke all traditions that day when he initiated thousands of devotees in this mantra. He says, men, women, everybody can chant. But in that tradition which I was being initiated, I was told no woman should hear this mantra. It is not meant for women. It is only meant for you. Don't share it with your friends. They don't belong to your caste. Okay, whatever. So I sat, and because it's secrecy, now there's a hall, it's a function. There is a place for secret. So what they do is they use a huge white sheet around you. You go into the sheet, the pujari comes under the sheet, and your father comes under the sheet. So everybody's covered in a big sheet. Then the pujari whispers, the priest who takes the place of God that day, he whispers the Gayatri mantra into my father's ear, and the father in turn will whisper into my ear. So that is how the initiation takes place. This was explained to me, and I said, okay, good. The sheet was, I sat in, and then the sheet was thrown over me, and I was waiting for the pujari to come in. And in came this burly, pot-bellied pujari. He came into this and sat, and my father was just a couple of minutes late. And that's when it happened. This pujari looked at me. He said, this is what is going to happen. I'm going in Tamil very fast. I barely understood what he said, but I knew at this sequence of events before itself. So he said, I'm going to tell the Gayatri mantra to your father will tell it to your, so repeat it. So I said, okay. I was a little kind of intimidated with one sheet and this big pujari sitting there. And then, to my shock and disbelief, imagine a 14-year-old sitting there under the sheet. He said, after the ceremony, after this initiation, you will go around touching everybody's feet. They will give you money. All the envelopes you have to give it to me. Other things you can give it to your father. I couldn't understand. He said, listen to me this. You give the envelopes to me. Don't tell your father or mother, everybody. I was so shocked and terrified that, oh my gosh, what is this? I was completely shocked that this guy is just asking for that money. Is this what he's sitting for? My father put him in the place of God, and they've given him so much dignity and honor, and he goes out of his way to pay him so much money to honor him more than anything. And all he is doing is, give me the money, give me the big envelopes. All the other gifts and all you can keep. He threatened me literally And he told me, don't tell anyone. And then my father came and it was a blur. After that it was a blur. I don't even remember what happened because I was like stunned and dazed at the whole idea. And the whole event crashed for me. And after that I was completely disillusioned with this whole idea of initiation and mantras and all that. Completely, totally. And so that left a very deep, very sad memory in my head. And of course, did this mass Gayatri initiation in the early, I think it was 81 or 82 or somewhere around that time. And so Swami was in a very beautiful mood. It was a very happy mood. And that he was going to do it the next day. And all the arrangements had made. And here was Sai Baba who said, and Sai Baba, according to the traditions, only Brahmins only highly scholarly Brahmin priests can initiate somebody else. And Swami was none of that, and he said, I'm going to initiate people. And he broke all traditions that day. But the day before that, he was in a most benevolent mood. He was in a benign mood. And he was so happy that this is going to be performed. So the evening before that day, I was sitting and pressing Swami's feet, and Swami Karanananda was also there. And Swami suddenly looked at me and said, oh, Brahmanado, what happened to your sacred thread? So I just looked at Swami. He said, do you have it? I said, no, Swami. Because the moment after a few months, I threw it away. Because I said, this is done for money. So my father and mother just gave up on me. Cinema I'm sorry, for those who know Tamil, they said this guy is going to go get lost in some film or something and he's going to ruin his life. Because I said, this was done for money, I don't value it, I threw it off. So that moment, he said, are you wearing it? I said, no, Swami, I don't wear it. Huh? You become like a Dunapata and you don't have the sacred thread ceremony. How did your father allow it? I just kept quiet because when I looked at Swami that fateful day, the memories that flashed my mind, I said, I was not so lucky to get mantra like this, so I just left it. And then Swami said, you Papa, if your father knows you don't have it. And I just joked something, muttered something, and I just kept quiet. And the next day he did this Gayatri initiation, and we were all standing at the backstage because we had followed Swami, and we all repeated the mantra, and it was a fantastic moment. It was a very graceful moment. It was a moment of where we can always, and luckily it's recorded, so it's recorded in history that how an incarnation, a great master, initiated hundreds and thousands of people into the path of enlightenment. I mean, that is phenomenal. I think that's one of the most historical days of his avatarhood. But in my mind, there was always a sad thing. I wasn't there receiving it actually. But I was one of the masters and I took it. I was very grateful that I finally got this mantra from somebody who explained what it was, and we talked about it a little yesterday. And then when I came back, the next morning it was all, Swami was asking how did it go, everybody was happy, and he was very happy that everything went smoothly. Actually, Swami walked to, there were I think more than 1,000, 1,500 people in the Purnachandra auditorium. It was very hot, and Swami went to each one of them and blessed. It wasn't a wholesale blessing, it was a retail blessing. He went to each one and blessed each one of them, and every family blessed. So that was the time I was thinking, I wish my father would have saved thousands and thousands of rupees and just did it here, and that would have been the most divine thing that would have happened. I missed that part. It was in the corner of my mind. But I said, I'll take this. I'll take the Gayatri. Anyway, I don't like the ritual, so Swami, I think, initiated for me like this. I was very happy. The next day morning, Swami was asking, and again we were sitting at Swami's feet, and Swami asked, how did it go? And Swami Karanananda, who was there, he was telling Baba, oh, it went off very well, everybody is happy, Swami, it was so nice, and this and that. And suddenly Swami turned to me and said, how was it? I said, Swami, good. Then he asked me to touch his feet, and as I went to touch his feet, I was just sitting cross-legged. He said, touch my feet. So close I touched his feet. As I touched his feet, he bent forward and put his finger right at the bottom. He leaned forward towards me and he leaned into my ear. He said, Cheppu, Om. It was done very simply, very sweetly. And I repeated every word of Swami. Swami got up and went away. That's all. It was just done. As a matter of fact, he got up and went away. Swami Karanananda was next to me and he was saying, Naina, experience emanta niku? He said, did you have any experience? And I was so thrilled and so this thing, I didn't even answer. And Swami immediately, oh thank you. Swami immediately came back. And Swami said, what are you talking? Then Swami Karanananda, this Swami Karanananda is a great yogi. He was very old. And he also was very, very free in his dialogues with Swami. And he said, no, Swami, I was asking him, since you touched him and you initiated him, did he have any experience? And Swami said, still, what experience? I have not come here to give experience. This is another beautiful statement he mentioned. He said, I have not come here to give experience. I have come to give knowledge. Experience kosam nenu raaledu, jnanam kosam vachanu. I have come to give knowledge, not experience. So and that is the essence of Swami. He gives you what he wants, but then he wants you to take the essence of it, not make a big deal about experience. If Vibhuti appears in somebody's house, it is an experience. But the lesson, the knowledge behind it is omniscience and omnipresence. And once you get the idea of omnipresence, then you feel it in your house too. You don't need to make a pilgrimage to that Vibhuti person's house, right? We don't need to. You can, but we tend to make a big deal about the experience and less about the lesson that comes out of the experience. We need to understand that the lesson is more important, the knowledge that comes out of it is more important, and the experience itself is really just a teacher. It was a tool to teach you something, whether good or bad. How many of us go back and we enjoy talking about how much we struggled in our lives? Oh Baba, you lost your job. Oh, I also, but my job was, how? I lost a 5-year-old job. You lost only a 2-year-old job. My sorrow was bigger. So we compare. And we make a big deal of what experiences we went through. What are the lessons we learned? That is what is important. Forget the experience. So it's very important, and Swami keeps us focused on the lesson that is taught. So by the time I had crossed that thread ceremony and before this event, a lot had transpired. I got into Baba's fold. And it was very interesting how he drew me into his fold. So I passed my 10th standard, and when I went to the 11th grade, my father got transferred to Haryana. From Bombay, he went to Haryana. And so there was no college there. And so they said, why don't you stay with your uncle for a couple of years until we figure out where to put you, which college you want to go to. So as I stayed with my uncle, and I was completing my 12th grade, I got to hear about Swami. And I will make that story short because I want to share a couple of more instances. I've shared this a little more, I think, detail in an interview with Ted Henry, and you can see it's on Vimeo. But the essence, the lessons I learned there, and I think that is very crucial here, was when I got to hear about Swami, the first thing appealed to me was he was very clean. Because I've seen all the sadhus and sannyasis were all either matted hair and, you don't want to get very close to them because but then see, the amazing thing for us is the more poorer they are, the more spiritual we thought they are. The more rags they are, the more, oh, he's in rags, he doesn't eat anything, oh, he's great, but oh, let's have a pizza and then go for darshan. So we want to eat. We come in Rolls Royce and Benz to watch the guru who is living on the ground and sleeping on the ground. Oh, Baba, he's great. So we had a tendency to worship somebody because he's poor, because he's in rags. And I think in India, if you understand the psychology of a person, of a community, of a nation, we worship poverty, and that's why it doesn't leave us. In spite of our riches, in spite of our traditions, somewhere deep down we worship poverty, and we attract it as a nation. And that's why there is still hunger, and there is still, in spite of all the progress. But that's a talk for some other occasion. However, so when I first saw Swami, I saw him clean. He himself was driving a Benz. So I said, this can't be a guru. And a photographer who was helping me, who was teaching me to color black and white pictures at that time into color, he was Swami's devotee. So he would hand me Swami's picture one after the other. So I learned to color orange very well. After a while I asked him, why are you giving me just this man's picture? Give me some other color. I like to paint the sky and the sun. So who is this person? And that's when he said this, he is Sai Baba. I said, what do you mean Sai Baba? Because the word Sai Baba struck me was Shirdi Baba. And Shirdi Baba was not nowhere close to Satya Sai Baba in looks. And so I said, this can't be Sai Baba. He said, no, he is Sai Baba. He's a holy man. I said, oh, holy man, I don't want to get near. He said, no, but by then this photographer had known me very well. He said, no, he's your type of holy man. He's your type of holy man. I said, really? He said, yes, so read this. And he gave me summer showers in Vrindavan, and that's when I read about Swami. I said, oh my gosh, Swami makes it so simple. Love is God. God is love. And I said, this is what I always believed in. Service to man is service to God. I said, this is what I believed in. There is only one religion, religion of love. The first time I've ever heard was from Swami. After being brought up in saying caste and religion and which religion is good, which is bad, suddenly one person gets up and you hear this divine voice saying, there is only one religion, the religion of love. There is only one caste, the caste of humanity. There is only one language, language of the heart. There is only one God, and He is omnipresent. I was like, oh my God, I have to see this person. It was like a door opening to me suddenly. Now I can understand it was probably something else far greater and was waiting to happen. At that moment I said, I have to meet this. This person speaks exactly what I want to. And so people around me started telling me, Baba has got powers, this, that, but that didn't interest me. I said, yeah, I know all that. That can follow. But he talks about something which I always believe in. And so that drew me to Swami, and I started exploring, how do I join him, where do I go and see him. And then this photographer Sai Datta told me, hey, he's going to start a college in Puttaparthi where he lives. That's his ashram. He's going to start a college. You are looking for a college after your 12th grade. Go join him. Go join that college. This will work out perfectly for you. So things seemed to fall in place correctly at that time. I wrote to my father, and my father said, nothing doing. You're going to be in Bombay. You know, now from Film Institute you went after spiritual people. You're just jumping from pillar to post here. I don't want you to run there after 3 months saying, oh, I want to come back and do something else. So he said, well, let us find out what it is and all that, and we'll send you there. Then I heard that Swami had a summer course in Vrindavan. Every year, Baba would organize a 1-month summer course where he would come and meet young students from all across India, because he had not had a university then. So he invited youngsters from all across India, girls and boys. These boys and girls would be selected from each state, and then they would all gather, live in Vrindavan, live there with Swami, and spend a whole month every day listening to Swami. And during the day, there would be other scholars and guests who would come and speak on different religions and different topics and things like that. So they said, if you join the summer course, spend a month, then you can write to your dad exactly what it is all about. You can also see and then decide if you want to join. I thought that was a great idea. So I said, okay, so what do I do to get to the summer course? And then, gosh, I don't know how we survived without internet and Google those days. So you went around, asked people, where does this exam, who holds the exam? Somebody said, this is where the exams are. And I said, please let me know when the dates come. So right from first, this was where I was, and then Swami started testing me there, I think. But then what happened? The test was like this. The date for the summer course exam, the exam for me to write, and those exams was just to make sure you know who Rama was, who was Rama, you'd write a line, who's Sita. They just didn't want somebody completely ignorant of Indian culture going there and sitting and, you know, making a fool of himself or the state. The state has to represent the youth. So they said, write a little bit about Ramayana, write a little bit of Mahabharata, who do you think are, you know, things like that. And they wanted to make sure you understood English, because English was a communication, means of communication during the summer course. I said, okay, I'm ready to take the exams. So when is the exam? The date of the summer course exam was unfortunately on the same day as my board exams, last board exam of 12th. You know, 12th exam is most important in India, correct? More than us, our parents do the fasting and the praying. And they think we are studying. But so that is the most crucial exam. So my board exams, my 12th grade exam was on the same day, the last exam. And the summer course exam was also on the same day. So I said, how can I write that exam and this exam? It's not possible for me to write, but there's only one exam I could take, and that has to be the 12th exam. Before the exam, I ran pillar to post. I just went all over and asked everybody, how do I change, what do I need to do to get your people to change the date? They said, oh, we don't do it as an organization. You have to meet the state president, but you can't just meet him like that and this and that. I said, where does he work? He says, no, he doesn't work. He owns businesses. He's in Bombay. So you can't meet him. So what I did is I went straight to his office. and his secretary was there. I said, I want to meet Mr. Java. And she looked at me, this one young kid in shorts and t-shirt coming up and saying, I want to meet. She said, who are you? Do you have appointment or what? I said, no, I don't have appointment. This is about Sai Baba organization. So I started explaining to her. And she said, wait, you can't meet him. And she tried to explain to me. Then suddenly the office door opened and Mr. Java and his secretary walked out. And she said, that's Mr. Java, but please don't. I will talk to him and see. I mean, she is just confused. What is this kid coming in all excited thing about Sai Baba and all that? So before she could do anything, I said, no, I'll talk to him myself. I went straight across. I said, excuse me, Uncle Sai Ram, excuse me. And he said, what, Sai Ram, what can I do for you? He said, then I immediately said, your state exam, your exam for a summer course that you organize, you have put it on a wrong date. You have to move it because I have my board exams and I can't write it. He didn't know what to do. I mean, he's going for some important meeting. He's running a multi-million-dollar company and somebody comes and says, Sai Baba organization, you did something wrong, please change it. So he looked at the secretary and looked at it, please deal with this kind of thing. And the secretary told me, yeah, beta, yes, very good. Go. I knew, they just showed me how. Beta, karega, sab karega, ja. That was the end of it. So I came back, I said, okay, this is not going to work. I knew they didn't even mean it. And I don't blame them, of course, for whatever reason. So I came back and I was very dejected and I told my uncle, what is this? You do. My uncle was also very big into puja and all, but then I have a very special relationship with him, and he passed recently. He passed away, but he would actually sit down and explain why these pujas are done. He would try to explain to me. So he would encourage me to ask questions to him. And since I lived with him, I said, see, you're doing so much all this, and all I want to do is, you told me to open my mind and understand God and puja and everything, and I'm ready to understand who he is. So when I told him about Sai Baba, he was very encouraging. I said, you encouraged me, but now look at this. I cannot get into summer course. I need to get in so that I can write to you and you can help me. We can prove to my dad that I need to go to meet and live with Sai Baba. But then I had to live with Sai Baba. For me, that became a kind of a thing, that he's got the answer that I'm looking for. And so though the seeds were planted in a very young age, that grew up to asking fundamental questions which were not answered. So I needed a guru to answer it. And I found him the perfect answer. I needed the summer course to work around the summer course. The date was not working. Then my uncle turned around and says, I don't know what to do, but I can tell you one thing. If I were in your place, I would do this. I said, what? Tell me anything, I'll try. You know how, before I tell this, I want to tell you, how in temples they have in the traditional temples, not the modern ones, the traditional temples, the doors are very low. You know why? Baba would explain. Even the greatest of kings would have to bend to come down. You have to be humble to enter the presence of God. And that's why they would make it low. And you would have to bend down and come in. So my first lesson of humility was taught to me right there. Baba caught me at the right point. So I'm desperate. I tried all the human endeavors and nothing worked. I asked my uncle, what do I do? He said, I'll tell you one technique. If you want, you do it. But you won't believe in it, so I don't want to tell you. I said, no, tell me anything, I'll try. He said, in Saundarya Lahari, if I were you, I believe this. That was his belief. Saundarya Lahari is written by Adi Shankara. The first stanza in Saundarya Lahari is a particular stanza which praises the divine cosmic energy Devi. It says the whole world worships Devi. And if Devi is pleased, your innermost desires are fulfilled. Something like that it means. If you take that stanza and chant it 1,000 times for 12 days, whatever your wishes will get fulfilled. And so for me, who was like, by then laughing at people who are just doing mechanical chanting and all that, I said, okay, I'll try it. So for my first lesson was, everything I said, this is all doesn't work, I had to try to make it work. So my first lesson of humility was, chant this mantra. And so I started chanting this. And the mantra is, Shiva Shakti, I can never forget it, you'll know why, because 1,000 times, 12 days. Shiva Shaktiya yukto yadi bhavati shaktaha prabhavitum nache devam devo na kalukushalha spanditumapi atastvam aratyam harihara virinchadi virapi pranantum stotum va katamakrata punyah prabhavati. This is once. So my first day took 6 hours. I was like, my tongue was completely frozen. I had never done like that. I had been in bhajans, I enjoyed singing, but this is way too much. But I said, you know what, I will try it. I don't know what it means, I don't know where it goes, but if there is someone in the universe who can listen to me, this has to work. If it doesn't work, fine, it doesn't work. I finished 12 days completely. And then I told him, 13th day, I told my uncle, so now what? He said, what are you asking me? I don't know. I told you told me it will work. He said, yes, but I don't know, just we'll wait, we'll see. I said, wait and do what? Where to see, what to do? Nothing happened on the 13th day. Nothing happened on the 14th day. Nothing happened on the 15th day. And it kind of fizzled away. A couple of weeks later, there was a knock on the door. I opened the door, there was one Sevadal, who was one uncle of mine, who was my kind of a go-to person. He knew I was looking for summer course and trying it, and I told him all my tales of woe as to how it won't work out and all. So he came and said, Sunder, I have good news for you. I said, what? He said, the exam dates for the summer course was done on so-and-so date. I know you couldn't go. They're re-holding another exam for those who couldn't go on that date. And I said, oh my gosh, thank you so much for telling me this. I went, wrote the exam, and got into the summer course. I was among the 12 or 15 people who were chosen, the boys were chosen to get into the summer course. I got into the summer course, and that was the first time I saw Swami in action, and spent the whole month staying there. And in one of those, Brother Gopinath wanted me to share a story I shared with y'all, some of you on the first day about ego. And I'll share it, and this was the background. It wasn't that one of the summer course days was when Swami would say, any question? And I said, yes, Swami, I have a question. We were wearing colored clothes then. Even when we were first students, we had colored clothes, and we had whites only for schools, and later on Swami would say, you'll get dirty, so wear colored clothes. And then when Swami would go, we would go for darshan in colored clothes. There was a time for that. Anyway, so I said, yes, I have a question, and my question was, why is it so difficult to get rid of the ego? Why is ego such a big thing in obstacle in spirituality? And I'll share that Baba's answer again with you, because it's a phenomenal answer. And this is the way Baba would answer it, so quickly, so instantaneously, so spontaneously. And he would say, why do you think ego is a problem? I said, I thought that was a big problem, right? Don't we all struggle to get rid of the ego? And I looked at him, I said, Swami, but ego is so big. He said, where do you come from? I said, Bombay. Where is Bombay? Swami, Bombay is in Maharashtra. Where is Maharashtra? Swami, in the Western Ghats. Where is that? Swami, in India. Oh, where is India? Swami, India is in Asia. Where is Asia? Swami, it's one of the continents, part of Earth. Where is Earth? One of the 9 planets. Where is the 9 planets? It's part of the solar system. Where is that? Part of the Milky Way. Where is the Milky Way? In the vast expanse of space. Baba took a deep breath. My voice had slowly come down, because already the ego was disappearing. From Bombay, Milky Way. Swami took a deep breath. He said, in that vast expanse of Akasham, in that space, there is Milky Way. In that Milky Way there are planets. In those planets, one planet is Earth. In that one Earth planet there are so many continents, so many countries. One of that country is India. In that country, one city is Bombay. In that Bombay city, millions and millions of people live there. In that there is one of you. Where is a place for ego? By the time he brought it down from there, you just didn't exist. You didn't exist. And I quietly sat down, just like my ego went down. Are they? He said, any other question? And he switched away. And that stunned, the amount of knowledge and the simplicity of explaining it. I think the beauty of Baba's teachings is he tells you the most profound truths. I think any book, you close your eyes, pick up one of his books, open it, you'll find a very profound truth, but he'll explain it in a very simple way, something you and I could relate to. It was not in high-flown Sanskrit, it had no bijaksharas which you needed somebody else to write a treatise on. He spoke the language you and I could understand. And that is what an incarnation does, I think. They come at the right time and raise the consciousness of millions of people just by now bringing it really down. It's A for apple, B for bat. Let's start from there. Suddenly things make sense to us. And that is how he got me into this fold. The reason why I shared that experience of coming into summer course, which will lead me to another experience, is I learned, not at that first time, but the second time, I learned the art of praying. And let me finish my second experience and then combine my first chanting the 12 days thing and my intensity of, I want this, I want to get into summer course, I want to get into summer course. The only thing I want you to remember is once I finished the 12 days and I finished all the asking, I had nothing to do. So I stopped it now, I let go. Because I had no choice and who can I ask? I asked the Parashakti herself. As my uncle said, Shiva Shaktya Yukto Yadi Bhavati Shakta, Hari and Hara worship you, I worship you. Now who else can I go? So I said, you know what, if this is the highest power on earth and I have prayed to for 12 days, there's nothing more I can pray. So I had given up. At least I thought I gave up. And then it materialized. So I want to keep that in mind. Many years later, and I didn't learn from that experience. I just thought, I got into summer course, I got into Swami's Institute, and then one thing led to the other. I never had to look back. Ever in my life. I didn't go planning to stay there for 16 years. I just ended up staying there. It was go get graduation somehow. My father had said, only you're going there, you have to get BCom admission and nothing else. And my grade came out after the 12th grade and I was just a little high over C grade. There was nowhere close to anywhere that Swami's Institute demanded at that time. Even though it was a simple college, they said you've got to have an A grade to get into commerce. You need to have an A plus or an O grade. In India you had it those days, something like that, to get into sciences. And anything lower than that you could get into arts or history or something like that. So when I was in Puttaparthi, I asked the principal, hey, I got my grades, sir, how do I get in? I made sure I put a lot of vibhuti and went to impress him. And he looked at my grade, he said, son, I can give you history if you want. But my father had clearly said, no chance, you are doing only B-commerce. Our fathers decided our fate long time ago. I am an accountant, you are an accountant. This is what you will do. You cannot do mathematics, forget it. So they decided, they put it on my label that I am not good at maths. And thanks for that, nobody really likes maths. But my father said, you have to get into B.Com. Not PA. PA is Bachelor's in Arts. BCom is Bachelor's in Commerce. So do only BCom, not BA. And I told him, no, but I want BCom. I told the principal, I want to get into BCom. I want to do Commerce. He said, no, son, not with your... I cannot go to Swami and show him your mark sheet also. This won't work. So after summer course, we moved to Puttaparthi, hoping when the college starts, we'll be there and somehow work our way, catch somebody, help, and somehow get in. That's the Bombayite blood, I think. Somehow maska lagao somebody and please somebody and somehow say, please, somehow get me this admission. But it doesn't work in Swami's presence. So the principal said, I'm sorry, I can't help you. And so I waited. The college started. It was June 2nd or 3rd, the college started, and 4 or 5 days, almost a week passed. I have to either get into this college. My father had sent me a return ticket. He said, I know, with your marks, no college will take you. It was a strong letter, I couldn't even hold it. You're coming back and we'll figure out what to do with you. But you had to come back immediately because we had to put you in another college, wherever it was. Some Ambedkar college or something, I might have gotten. But anyway, so I was so upset. I said, I have the return ticket, I have to go back. I want to get into Baba's college. I can't get in without commerce. What do I do? That's when I realized, okay, this is not going to work out. So I wrote a very strong letter to Swami. I said, everybody thinks you're a god and you're a guru. And I came thinking what you spoke, really appealed to me. But looks like you can only speak and things like that. I just was so angry with Baba. I just wrote a very angry letter to him. And I said, when you take this letter, I will just go back to my old ways. I'm just never going to turn towards God again. I don't believe ever in anything spiritual. I wrote all that because I had made up my mind I had to go in 2 days. So I folded the letter, I kept it in my pocket, I sat right in front on the darshan line. Those days, if you go early, you get first line. So I went, sat at 2 o'clock itself for the 4 o'clock darshan. I wanted to make sure right at the end of the arch when he comes, I'll be there first. And so I sat with my letter and I said, I will give it to look at it into his face, give it to him, and I'll go. I'm not going to, sneak away. I'll just let him know that I'm very upset with him. So I sat ready for a fight. and Swami came out for darshan. He came to me. I held the letter to give it to him. And Swami came towards me with his hands like this, with his fingers. He held my envelope like this. Kya hai? He asked. What is it? He asked. He spoke to me for once. I immediately knelt. I said, Swami, admission, Swami, admission. Baba, admission, admission. And then my father's voice from behind, BCom, BCom. A deep voice from within. So I said, Swami, admission, Swami, BCom, BCom, admission, BCom. Believe me, I had to get everything done, put across. I had like 2 seconds before he moved on. Swami, admission, Swami, BCom, Swami, admission, BCom. And he said, BCom? Be calm. That was my first one-on-one in really close encounter, so I can never forget that beautiful, almost instantaneous, be calm, be calm. And all the devotees around laughed and I was like, oh, what does this mean? Then he removed his hand, he didn't take the letter. He had held it like this and then he removed his hand and walked past. And I kept the letter in my hand, I put it back in my pocket and he walked past, and before that of course he said be calm. And then he looked at the principal who was sitting on the other side in the portico, in the mandir, and looked at me, did something like this. I don't remember exactly what it was. Something he looked up and down, pointed his finger, something, and walked away. He walked past, and then as soon as darshan got over, devotees were scrambling to pick up Swami's sand. I just dashed to the principal. I said, sir, did you see what happened? He didn't want to know anything. He said, I don't want to know anything. You come tomorrow, whatever admission you want, I'll give you. Because he knew that indication. So I went next day morning and got into the BCom. I was 1 week late, and once I joined Swami's college, I never looked back to see any C grades and B grades. It was always A and A plus grades. The whole thing had changed completely. And I never had to look back. So many years later, there was a time when Swami came to our hostel and he gave a very beautiful discourse on Soham Pranayama. It was a Sunday afternoon, Swami came and he spoke about Soham, 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 how powerful that is. And the perspectives that Swami shared was fascinating. He said, every time you say, when we talk about I am God, who is the I you're talking of first? If I say I am God, that means I'm saying I, Sunder, am actually God. He says that won't work because you're already establishing yourself first and then God is second. Soham is the other way around. He said Soham, saying that I am. So-hum. 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 The focus is on so. You start with saying that I am. That I am. And Swami also said beautifully, he said, why is this one of the most powerful mantras is because when you breathe in, you're breathing in so. You're breathing in the infinite. That, you're thinking that and breathing in. You're absorbing the infinite. And when you think of yourself, you're letting go. Hum. So the little I is slipping away and the big infinite is filling you. The little I is slipping away, the big infinite power is filling you. So your infinity is coming into you, the little ego is slipping away. So hum. So hum. I think there is a very fascinating discourse Swami gave. I love that lesson that he shared that day. And to me, that day, I said, I'm going to practice Soham now. Oh my gosh, this is great sadhana for me. Because of my interest in yoga, by then I was into yoga, and Swami had sent Indra Devi and a couple of others to our hostel. She's 72 years old. Swami said, go teach these boys, they're just eating and sleeping. And when I saw her doing yoga, I said, I want to be like that when I was 72. She was very impressive, and she lived up to 102, 103 years, until 2003 or 4, something like that she lived. Indra Devi, a fascinating yoga teacher, short, frail, but very sweet. I mean, very profound knowledge, and she had so many chances with Swami. Anyway, by then I was so much into yoga that every single little tidbit Swami would throw about breathing, Soham, pranayama, something he would mention, I'll be like, all my ears and senses will be absorbing it. And so when Swami spoke about Soham, I said, I have to practice Soham, I will do it. And for some reason in my head, I thought if I do this, Swami will be happy. I think for us, at least for me, in my initial stages, I thought I'm doing sadhana to please him. I was doing puja to please him. We are not doing it to please him. He doesn't need to be pleased. Right? He is prasanna, is always happy. He doesn't need to be pleased. We are doing it for our own upliftment, but that all came much later. That time I thought if I do this Soham pranayama, just as Swami told me, maybe he'll be very happy. Maybe he'll show me some sign that he's happy with me. So I said, let me practice Soham pranayama. And I figured this Sunday, on Thursday or Wednesday or Thursday, our class gets a chance to sit first in the line. So I will get to sit right when Swami opens the interview room door, and I will be there. So if I practice next 3 days Soham pranayama non-stop, then when I sit, Swami will give me some sign. So the next 3 days I continuously practiced Soham, 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 Soham. Everywhere I was trying to practice. I hardly slept. I was constantly, of course I enjoyed it. I understood the meaning. I was completely lost. But somewhere I wanted like Swami to tell me that this is it, this is your path, go for it. I wanted that reassurance, I wanted that recognition from Swami that this is my sadhana for me. And so 3 days passed, I kept on practicing, and the 4th day when it came for darshan, I was right in the front, went and sat in the portico where Baba comes out and meets, and we are all right in the first I was sitting. Now before Swami opened the door and came out for darshan, I was full of Soham, and I said, listen Baba, talking to Swami within me, and I said, I'm so used to you now that if you're going to come past and your robe will just touch me, that is not sign for me. Or if you come and stand in front of me, I'm not going to touch your feet and thinking, oh, I got Swami's blessing. I want something specific, something spectacular. I want some completely different sign. I didn't know what it was. I said, I want some different sign. Either you speak to me specifically or look at me or do something out, not something which we consider ordinary. Swami would have anyway done it. I didn't want my mind to say this is a coincidence. So I wanted a clear indication. And I said, I've practiced 3 days, give me a clear indication. So I started praying, quote unquote praying. This is the lesson I learned in praying. And so Baba came out for darshan, and like Swami, 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 Swami. My heart started and Swami came out, he took the chocolates from the birthday boy's tray and he flung it, nothing fell on me, and I didn't want that to fall and think it's a sign. So I was like, oh yeah, that's okay, I don't want it. I'm going to get something special. This chocolate is an everyday affair. And so I said, Swami, Swami, and Swami threw it and then looked and started walking out for darshan. He didn't even glance at me, which he normally would have otherwise, but he didn't glance at me at all. It was as if I didn't exist here. He went past, he went to the ladies' darshan, and then he went to the men darshan. I think that day it was a very slow darshan. I wanted him to come fast, give me some sign and be done with it. I couldn't wait. 3 days of tapas, it's too much. He finished his darshan, he came back, he started walking towards us again because the interview room door is just 5 feet away. People had gathered for the interview, they were sitting on either side. Swami came and stood right in front of me and talked to a boy 2 rows behind me. Said, where is your parent? Where is your mother? Aya hai, bulao. So that boy is standing up, he's waving like this towards his mother and father, and I'm sitting here and Swami is standing right here talking to that boy. And Swami is talking to the VIPs about this boy. Ye hai, he's from so and so. Where is it? Lazy, where are they coming? Come. And I'm sitting here. Now and then when they were coming, he's watching like this at them. And I'm right there. I was looking into Swami and my mind was now Swami, come on, please, please, please. So all that high thing of special signs and all, I said, okay, let's cut all that. Just look down upon me. Just look at me. Come on, this is too much. I practiced Soham 3 days. Just look down. I didn't do something wrong. I did to get your attention. Please look down upon me. Believe me, I was so intensely praying that if you're standing here and you think somebody's staring at you, you don't need to be a divine person to know somebody's staring at you, right? It's your experience. You walk past and somebody is looking at you, you'll automatically know somebody's staring at you, correct? So this didn't take any divine person to know why is this joker simply like this. For me, I was thinking, and that is the time I remember that 33rd seconds, 1 minute, 1.5 minutes, whatever I spent there. My mind was going, what is this? This is my Guru, my God. And before that, Swami had shown me immense signs of his omniscience and everything, okay? And then I said, he knows it. Why is it that you're not even getting what I'm saying now? Swami, my mind was screaming, look down, just once, just glance and go. It appeared like he was completely stone. It didn't even hear you. And Swami, the boys' parents came, he told the boys to come, and slowly, to my utter dismay, Swami started moving away. And then he opened the interview room door, he called the gents in, he called the ladies in, and he shuts the door. Now when he shuts the door, sometimes Swami will peep out like this and shut the door and look at the boys right there. And so that's a nice thing he will do if he's in a mood. Sometimes he won't, sometimes he does, sometimes he'll make a face and close the door. It's just up to Swami. And so everybody will be like, to the last minute the boys will be thinking, what is Swami going to do today? But that day I was thinking, okay, at least before he shut the door, look at me. I'm sitting right there. But Swami just shut the door. The door was shut. And that moment my frenzy and that praying and the intensity suddenly fell. It was like that 12 day of worshipping Devi. Yes, chant, chant, chant. And after that, what do I do now? Gone. The room door shut. And the birthday boy got up. He walked past the tray. And I moved quickly next to him. But I said, anyway, in another 10 minutes I have to get up and go inside to the bhajan hall to sing bhajans. This is over. This is it. And for me, it was complete silence inside. Numb. You know the word numb? You try your best, and poof, the whole thing falls. Time stood still then. I did my best not to cry because you don't want suddenly a boy bursting into tears in the portico. Everybody will say, what happened here? So, a minute or two passed. And I was about to get up to go because everybody else was also getting up. Suddenly the click, I heard the interview room door clicked. And immediately everybody sat. Now this happened very fast. Swami opened the door, he came out. He didn't look at me or anything. He just came out and I was looking, I said, oh wow, what is this? He came out and he called the lady volunteer. He said, oh, you didn't send that lady. And he waved that some lady was forgotten in the interview group. So that lady started walking. Swami said, kya hai? Oh, jaldi, lazy. So Swami stood right next to me here, looking at that lady. And by then I had completely given up. For me, this happened so fast. I didn't expect this, Dash. I wasn't ready for all that intensity. And after all that thing, I was like mentally, physically, spiritually exhausted. So I was just looking at Swami blindly. He said, oh, and all. And then the lady went in. Before Swami followed her into the interview room and shut the door, in a fraction of a second he turned around. He had materialized vibhuti, so his thumb had vibhuti in it. 1 second he just put the vibhuti on my forehead like this and went and shut the door. I asked for a fantastic sign and I got it. And then that night and nights later, and I said, why? Why was it that when he was right in front of me, so close to me, I was praying to him and he didn't seem to even listen. And then when I gave up, actually I was not even praying when he came out next time. I was like, whatever. And then he gave me something even beyond my imagination. I mean, even I would have never had the audacity to say, I want materialized vibhuti here or something like that. I didn't even dream of it. And then he gave me something which is even beyond my imagination. as a gift for what I wanted. How did that happen? So many years later again, in Kodaikanal, I shared this very incident with Swami next to me. Because every day Swami will say, speak. Okay? And so every day Swami will say, share your experience, share your incident. So we had to go back to our past and bring out the incidents. And it was a great opportunity because you're sharing an incident with Swami, about Swami with Swami. It's a little confusing that you're touching, yes. So this was one incident I shared. At the same time I shared my snake bite incident, and that time I told the whole truth as is in Bombay. Because Swami went down for darshan in Bombay and he just picked me up and said, come on, tell your story, big story. So I knew he meant that. So I shared that story about the snake bite in Swami's presence. And anyway, but at this point in Kodaikanal, I shared this very story with Swami about this prayer and how Swami never heard me. And Swami had a good laugh. Like this, I was standing, I had to explain. Swami was right here. I could see into Swami's nostrils, and Swami had a good laugh. And everybody also enjoyed the story. And towards the end I said, I think this is where I learned the lesson that it is only when Swami quotes this. Those days the Swami's quotes were written in Prashanthanilayam everywhere in stones, beautifully painted. It is only in the depths of silence can the voice of God be heard. So I said, when I was thinking, I was praying, I was creating so much noise in my head, so much static. It was all about me. Oh, listen to me, I am praying, listen to me. It's all about me. That it never went. Finally, when I thought I stopped praying, there was a depth of silence. And in that silence, the voice of God can be heard. I shared that and everybody liked it, and I bent down to touch Swami's feet after I spoke. And then Swami said, how was the talk? And everybody said, oh, very nice. And he said, it is only in the depths of, he repeated it, only in the depths of silence, the voice of God can be heard. But, I told you, there's always a but with Swami. And I leaned forward, he said, but it is in the same silence, I can also hear your voice. It is only in the depths of silence that the voice of God can be heard. But it's in the same depths of silence that He can also hear our voice. So it's a very strange koan or a riddle, if you will, because in silence, there is what voice do you hear in silence? If you hear a voice, then there's no longer silence. So what is the voice he's talking about? What is this communication between God and you that takes place in silence? It's almost spontaneous. It's instantaneous. That is why I was talking yesterday. I said even your innermost desire, however powerful it is, it will materialize instantly if only you get out of the way and allow it to just materialize right there. So when I thought I was praying and I was asking, I was only asking. I was not praying. I was asking. I was telling him, bless me, Swami, give me a sign, bless me. I was telling him what to do. I was giving him orders because I wanted it. It's all about me and mine and myself. And so it was not a prayer. But then when I quietened, my innermost desire suddenly came into fruition, because the moment I stopped, he came out, he put the wildest, I started off saying, give me a great sign. He gave me the greatest sign and walked away. I carry that lesson and it has helped me immensely in my everyday life. When I want guidance also, I don't ask Swami guide me, Swami please guide me. No, just let go. Guidance comes. And something presents itself to you the way He planned it, far beyond your expectations, even far beyond your imagination. It's fascinating how He puts two and two together. It is God at work. When you see a rose bloom from a bud, right? It opens up. And the intricacies of a flower, can you and I just take a bud and say, okay, let me take it really slow, one petal at a time, and open it exactly the way this rose, can we ever do it? We cannot. We need to just get out of the way and allow the rose to bloom. If we try to touch it, interfere with it, we are only going to ruin. That is true power of God. We know we want something, then just get out of the way. And God knows your innermost desire, because you are not different from God. Your own inner divinity will touch and allow that thing to materialize. And it will happen almost spontaneously. It will appear miraculous at first, But then when it happens again and again and again in your life, you will say, you know what, I don't need to ask anything. I don't have to pray at all. I just need to be in that silence. Experience the silence. Experience the presence of God. That is why when you go and sit in Swami's presence, you cannot speak. My father would just sit in front of Swami and keep crying. He would do nothing, he will just cry. And Swami once told me in the interview, I told my mother, see how he's not even talking to me. He's just sitting here and crying. And he told me, Chut, this is bhakti. You think your father is only doing mantra and chanting. This is bhakti. It's fascinating. Because my father would say, what is there to speak? I'm sitting in the presence of God. And he was just enjoying it. The avatarhood of Swami will be missed tremendously by one and all. But yet, we have every opportunity to allow him to resurrect within us, in the depths of our heart. If you want to take home Sai Baba, you can. If you want to take Sai Baba with you and be your guide, hold your hand every day of your life, he will. The only thing is we need to allow him to do that. Khak ho Guru ke charan ki. Open your heart and yearn for God. Cry for God. It doesn't matter. Cry for him and allow him to work through you. There is no harm in yearning. There is no harm in being attached. Spirituality is not a right path and a wrong path. What I have done here is like a blind man. I shared my perspectives. When I listen to any of your stories, I feel so humbled. I said, my God, each one of us have carved our paths to God. It's fascinating. And there is no right and wrong path. There is no high and low path. Every path is unique because every one of us is ultimately connected with only one source. We have to remember that. We are all interconnected. And if one of us lifts our consciousness, we lift everyone around us. We lift our community, our family. That is why they say that when an avatar comes, generations and generations of people are already blessed. So our children, our grandchildren, our great-grandchildren are already blessed because of presence of one master who walked the earth. It's already done. The seeds are sown, the teachings are out there, the vibrations are out there. There is so many facets of Swami which I have never even understood. I will never even try to understand, because in attempting to understand Baba, we are trying to bring God down to our senses, and it's never going to happen. Like I said yesterday, God is more truly imagined than expressed, but he exists more truly than can ever be imagined. So we are talking of an existence of something you can't even imagine, then let it be. That is why poetry broke the rules to explain beauty. In actual poetry, we learn to communication. So this is grammar, this is how you are to talk. But when it comes to describing beauty and divinity, they break the rhythm. That's why poetry came, and it's different from prose, right? When William Wordsworth saw the daffodils on the hills, he didn't say, I was walking and I saw the daffodils, comma, full stop, exclamation mark. No, he said, when on my coach I lie, in vacant or in pensive mood, they flash upon my inward eye in the bliss of solitude. Daffodils fluttering and dancing in the breeze. And you would say, oh, that's not correct English. No, but you have to break the law. You can't. At one point you just can't. So we got to distrust our senses to understand him. We have to transcend our senses, transcend the limitations of our senses to understand who God is. Do I have 15 minutes? Because I want to end this with an offering to Swami on the day of resurrection. This is one of my favorite chants and mantra, if you will, a favorite song that I chant. This was written by Adi Shankara 2000 years ago. It is called Nirvana Shatakam, which is the 6 verses of the Song of Liberation. It's called the Song of Liberation. If you listen to this song, you sing this song, you are liberated. Because this is it's the most powerful song. It's purely Advaita, which is non-duality. It says, I am truth, I am consciousness, I am bliss, I am the Shiva am I. And to me, as I said in the last couple of days, when we take home the message of Swami, if there is any message Swami said, the only message we could take home is we are divine. The God we are searching for, the God we are praying for is within us, is within our innermost core. So for the next 15 minutes, let us all put aside, including me, put aside all our self-judgments and ideas of what is too much spirituality, what is this, what is that. Let's put aside everything that we ever believed in. Just put aside for the next 15 minutes and simply say, I am Shiva. And listen to this song and keep saying Shivoham, Shivoham in between each verses. If you feel like joining, join. But you will get the essence of the song. There is an English translation in between each verse. You will get the essence of what the song is. And simply get into this feeling that I am that Shiva. I am that Sai. I am this infinite power. That, to me, will be our greatest offering to this wonderful, wonderful Master who walked the earth. Shivoham, 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 Manobuddhyankar Chittaninaham Nachastrota jivve Nacha prananetre Manobuddhyankar Chittaninaham Nachastrota jivve Nacha prananetre. I am not the petty mind, I am not the proud intellect, neither the mighty ego nor the minute thought am I. Touch and hearing, taste and seeing, I am not these sensual feelings. I am not the element of earth, I am not the elusive ether, neither the fierce fire nor the wailing wind am I. I am truth, consciousness, divine bliss. I am the Shiva am I. I am the Shiva am I. I am the Shiva am I. Manobuddhyankar Chittaninaham Nachastrota jivve Nacha prananetre Nacha vyoma bhumir Na tejo na vayu Chidananda rupaha Shivoham, Shivoham, Chidananda Neither the ailing elements nor the astral sheets am I. Organs of action and chain reaction like the hands, the feet, the mouth and conversation, none of these depraved organs am I. I am truth, consciousness, divine bliss. I am the Shiva. The Shiva am I. I am the Shiva. The Shiva am I. I am the Shiva. The Shiva am I. Na cha prana sankhyo na pancha vayu na va saptadhatur na va pancha kosha na va panipadam na chopasta vayu chidananda rupa shivoham shivoham chidananda rupa shivoham 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 na me dvesha ragam na me lobhamom na me dvesha ragam na me lobhamom madho naiva me naiva vatsarya bhava na me dvesha ragam. I am bound to no worldly attachments. I am averse to no earthly entrapment. Greed, envy, vanity, aversions, these phantoms bind me not to delusions. I aspire not for any duty, nor to acquire any property. No, not even cherish the desire for liberty, cause I am truth, consciousness, divine bliss. I am the Shiva. The Shiva am I. I am the Shiva. The Shiva am I. I am the Shiva. The Shiva am I. Na me dvesha ragam, na me lobhamom, madhu naiva me naiva vatsarya bhava, na dharmo na charto, na kamo na moksha, na dharmo na charto, na kamo na moksha, chidananda rupa shivoham shivoham chidananda rupa shivoham 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 na punyam na papam na saukyam na dukham na mantro. Untouched by vice, I feel no pleasure, I face no pain. No magic chants empower me, no mystic places purify me. I am not the dogma, nor the doctrines, nor the sacred fire of pilgrims. I am not the sensuous, I am not the sense. Sensuality to me makes no sense, cause I am truth, consciousness, divine bliss. I am the Shiva. The Shiva am I. I am the Shiva. The Shiva am I. I am the Shiva. The Shiva am I. Na punyam na papam na saukyam na dukham na mantro na tirtham na vedanaya aham bhojanam naiva bhojyam na bhokta aham bhojanam naiva bhojyam na vanished forever. Frivolous doubts assail me never, fear of death vanished forever. No pride of castes, no prejudice of creeds, no father or mother bore me by their deeds. I am no friend, I am no foe, neither the teacher nor the taught am I. I am truth, consciousness, divine bliss. I am the Shiva am I. I am the Shiva am I. I am the Shiva am I. न मृत्युर्न शंका न मे जाति भेदः पिता नैव मे नैव माताश्च जन्मा न बन्धुर्न मित्रौ गुरुर्नैव शेषा न बन्धुर्न मित्रौ गुरुर्नैव शेषा चिदानन्दरूपः शिवोऽहं शिवोऽहं चिदानन्दरूपः शिवोऽहं 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 शिवोऽहम् अहं निर्विकल्पो निराकाररूपा Omnipotent, omnipresent am I. The unfathomable, inscrutable Shiva am I. I am truth, consciousness, divine bliss. I am the Shiva am I. I am the Shiva am I. I am the Shiva am I. Aham nirvikalpo virakara rupo vibhutmacha sarvatra sarvedriyanam. Aham nirvikalpo tvam yajnas tvam vajatkaras tvam indras tvam rudras tvam brahma tvam pram padapati tvam tadapa apo jyotirraso amritam brahma bhurvuvassuvarom ईशान सर्व विद्यानां ईश्वर सर्व भूतानां ब्रह्माधिपति ब्रह्मणोधिपति ब्रह्मा शिवो मे अस्तु सदा शिवो ब्रह्मा शिवो मे अस्तु सदा शिवो ब्रह्मा शिवो मे अस्तु सदा शिवो अहं निर्विकल्पो निराकार रूपो विभुत्वा च सर्वत्र सर्वेन्द्रियाणां न च संकटं नैव मुक्तिर्न मेया न च संकटं नैव मुक्तिर्न मेया चिदानन्दरूपः शिवोऽहं शिवो चिदानन्दरूपः शिवोऽहं शिवो शिवोऽहं. Let's sing together. शिवोऽहं शिवोऽहं शिवोऽहं. ॐ साईश्वराय विद्महे सत्यदेवाय धीमहि तन्नः सर्वं प्रचोदयात्. साई तन्नः सर्वं प्रचोदयात्. शिवोऽहं 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 शिवोऽहं. जय साई राम.
Salam, brothers and sisters. Sometimes you wish some days would never end, but they do. So, first of all, on behalf of all of us, I offer my deepest most heartfelt, humblest gratitude to Swami for limiting the limitless for our sake, for the love he had for us. And together, on all our behalf, we pray that he help us transcend our attachment to his limited form and make us feel the limitless. At this juncture, I have to thank Brother Iyer, who has been patiently filming today's events, so we have some record that we can go over. Thank you. At this stage, for me to say thank you to Dr. Sunder Iyer would be a mere lip service. I just hope that his heart feels what our heart feels about his presence and contribution this weekend. It's priceless, it's more than valuable. Not that he's going to forget us after what we put him through in the last weekend, but we have a simple token of our love, just to remember us by. I request Dr. Shanti Sundaram to present it to Dr. Sunder Iyer. They're all Sundarams, very beautiful people. We'll finish with a short session of bhajans. It'll be all unisons. Please join in and sing to your heart's content.